Welcome to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm Sudie Landry, and today I have a good friend and author who has released her book, which is The 4 Seasons of Love and Grief. Welcome to the show, Ellen.
Thank you, Sudie, for having me.
Thank you so much for being able to come in such a short notice, but we didn't get together the last time, and so I think it was perfect timing for today. And thanks to God, we're both healthy, we're both here. How was your new year?
It was nice and quiet. Nasty but productive.
That's about how all of us feel. Listen to Katiana. The last time that I had Ellen here, she was talking about putting her book together. And so now it is out there, and so I want her to be able to share what it's about. The 4 Seasons of Love and Grief. Why did you write this book, Ellen?
Well, actually, it started off as a kind of a journal contest for the Huffington Post. I had always been journaling, kind of writing poetry, but then after the sudden loss of my husband, through the grief and the despair and the aggravation and frustration, it just came to me that, through all the seasons that I had to deal with starting my life again without him, it just kind of all came together. All these notes I had and all these experiences prior to his death and then after his death, I said I needed to take that challenge to write this book.
That is wonderful that you did, because there's a lot of hurting people out there. And so you became a widow about how many years ago?
It was 4 years this past August.
It is not that long ago. But the time that you had him, I know that you surely miss him also. And Ellen, I mean, how did you go about putting this book together? Because I know we had talked about it, but you yourself are great at being a publicist, by the way, Katiana on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. Ellen is the Writers Guild of Katiana's publicist, and she does a fantastic job, so you're very organized.
Appreciate that.
Share some of those steps of how you put this book together to encourage others out there.
Okay, well, the first thing, you definitely have to have the mindset to want to finish. And you have to have the mindset to do it for yourself, not for the publicity, not for the money, just for the satisfaction of knowing that you want to take an experience, put it from the heart, from the mind, put it to paper, and then put it out there for others. So I used every resource from the Writers Guild to Grammarly.com, which is a website that helps you fine-tune your grammar, your content. I use the Magic Spreadsheet, which is a tool that can help you keep track of your count of words.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so each day after you write X so many sentences, so many words, you just go back to the Magic Spreadsheet, you write how many words you wrote, and it keeps a log, a track.
Wow, it's almost like getting a paper ready for the income tax at the end of the year. It's got everything there. You just put it together.
Exactly. And then I used Tim Grahl. He's a bestseller, How to Sell 1,000 Books in a Year.
Okay.
I used, there was just gobs and gobs of information out there.
Okay, so you've been taking notes during all these seasons of your love and your grief and loss of your husband and getting your life back in order to what you could and keeping busy. Ellen, the question I want to ask is how long did it take you? This was a series of the whole 4 years? I mean, you lost him 4 years ago.
I lost him 4 years ago.
How long did you have these notes?
Like I said, I had maybe 5-6 years before I had been journaling. Just kind of simple notes of feelings, awareness, especially when he spent that May of that same year, 2014, he spent 3-4 months in and out of the hospital. So as the time spent, I had been given a couple of journals. So when you're given something more times than not, it's a reason for it.
Right.
So I had been journaling my feelings, my awareness, how nature, how the senses of the smells, or if the trees are blowing, different little senses.
You were being real.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on or whatever you were thinking, you were being real. And that is so wonderful, because I would encourage people to check out your book, and your website is up there. If they want more information, which of those do they go ahead?
Well, the ellen.mitchell7, that's an email address where I can be reached and contact. Obviously, the book is available at amazon.com.
Okay, okay,
And Christian Faith Publishing was my publishing company.
okay.
And of course, the website, A Place Where Words Still Matter.
Which was on there earlier. And when you get a chance, Kenneth, Amazon is misspelled. It's Amazon. So if you get a chance, correct that up there, so in case people want to go and check out our book there. But right now, www.aplaceWhereWords
Still Matter.
Still Matter. I like that
Yeah.
title. Is that
And-
new?
Yeah, because I think I was sleeping one night, I was restless one night, couldn't, and with all the commotion of what's going on in the world 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, words still matter, because what you say and what you do should match it. So I was like, a place where words still matters, words still matter, bam, that's my website.
Yes, I used that example to share with someone I thought was getting a little upset over nothing. Just remember what comes out of your mouth. They will remember what was said. That little song, Sticks and Stones May break my bones,
but
but
words will
not true.
not true.
Not true. Those words hurt more than
Yes, they
bruises and
do.
bones
Yes,
that
they do.
heal.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful what we say is true. Words do matter. So Amazon, it would be book at amazon.com.
.com.
So Kenneth, amazon.com. Eliminate the E. Sometimes those typing, I do. Oh. I get corrected on my spelling. Sometimes I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah,
What?
and that's why grammatically it helps so much, because once you download the app, whether it's on your iPhone, your iPad, your computer, you're typing and boop, it'll
Well,
correct you.
it's not often that he makes a mistake, but I do know this. It's a lot easier to correct it while he's still operating it than to try to get it taken care of later. I've learned a lot. Going on 9 years here and the Writers Guild, you learn and you benefit from it. So, with your book, you're talking from the heart as a widow. And so that explains the title of your book.
4 Seasons of Love and Grief, because one of the troubles I had with where to stop the book, I knew that 4 seasons, because he died in August, then you have spring, and then the summer. He died in the summer, and then come Christmas time, and then you have fall.
Fall and the
So I
winter.
said, oh, these are 4 seasons. People come in your life for different reasons at different seasons, and they leave for different seasons and at different reasons. So that was the title. And then, like I said, I had a hard time finding where to stop the book. So with some advice from other authors, they told me, stop when you feel you've said what you really mean, what you know, what you've experienced. And I don't try to give a play-by-play of what people need to do, what they need to do to heal, how they need to recover, because everybody has their own way.
That's what I was going to bring up. I'm so glad you shared that part. Everybody has a story, and each person deals with it in a different way. And I experienced something many years ago with a friend who had lost a daughter in a tragic accident. And I would say, and she was a good friend, and she'd get her hair done, and we would visit also. And all I could say was, I understand. Trying not to say anything that would upset her. And one day, she went off and she screamed at me and said, no, you don't understand, and you never will understand unless you have been there. And I, at that moment, had a revelation of how powerful we mean well. And that was her time to let her grief out, because she knew she could. But I learned a lot from that lesson.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
So I simply try to fine-tune the senses of what you hear, what you feel, what you see, what you touch, because one of the book signings I did actually this past Saturday at the farmer's market
I know.
here in Lafayette, and one of the customers, because I had homemade candied yams to taste
I
for
know.
sample.
I saw that.
So, and she was asking me what came about the book, how I was doing, and I said a lot of the foods, especially on those Sundays, we were both football fans. So a lot of the foods that we ate during football season, not only did I not want to watch football, I didn't want to eat. And when my mom cooked, the smell of yams and roast and okra and all these southern comfort of food, I had no taste, no sense of touch, nothing. So that customer said, this is kind of a spiritual tasting.
Whoa.
So I said, that is so pinpoint.
Yes.
So
let's talk about book signings. So you just recently was at where?
at the Lafayette Hub City Farmers Market.
Okay, and have you been to Barnes & Noble yet in
No,
Lafayette?
I haven't yet because that's sometime this year because obviously they were full last year.
right.
So the date is still up for
Okay,
grabs.
so have you got anything else scheduled as of right now that you can share with us, or
No.
it's in the process?
No, because Barnes & Noble is still in the process, and then one of the Christian bookstores, the date still has to be in place, and Poetic Justice.
Yes.
I'll be doing that, but that still have to be, I have to set a date and time for that.
So you're going to be going out to different places, like all of us. When we have a book, we try to go where we can. I actually, the last two people that I interviewed actually is part of a ministry, and Still I Rise, and it's held once a year.
I heard them. Yeah.
And so I really think that you would really fit in that category. If you don't mind, I ask permission to share you with them.
Absolutely.
Okay, because what I'll probably do is read your book and turn around and give it to her, but get it back.
Okay.
So anyway, but I really think that your testimony would really benefit and help other people, because not everybody has that ability with calmness to get past the anger and the hurt and the. I mean, I have a lady I used to do in a beauty shop, and she was a very secure lady, but when she lost her husband, she'd go in the beauty shop, and she thought nobody could hear her in the bathroom. And boy, she was telling him off
Just
for
ranting
leaving
and
her, but it was her anger. And we never said we could hear anything. So if a new person came in, I'd just do this, let her have her time. But she was one that never would have believed that she had talked out loud like that. But anyway, as I sit here with you, knowing that you were a widow, and that's why this book is there, and the main message in there is to share your grief, how you got through it, and to comfort others, but not to tell them.
No, not to tell them this is how you should grieve. You should do therapy. You should go to a psychiatrist. You should go hide in the woods. You should stick yourself in church in a pew and pray until you get some answers. You should. No.
Well, you see, as you're speaking, I had written a book too. When I got through with the book, it healed me by me admitting and all the steps I went through in my situation, which was it was an abuse that I had to separate the lies from the truth, and that was the reason for writing the book. I always told my brothers and sisters that one day I would write a book, and that we would all know the truth. Because we were raised by different people in foster homes and stuff like that, separated, brought back together. And so there were times where I didn't want to write what I really was writing, not throw that book aside and okay, it's the truth. So, but I'd always verify everything in my situation that it really happened. It wasn't something I had in my mind. And I said that to say this, Ellen, is that when I began to acknowledge what really bothered me and what didn't bother me, what I found out was true, what was not true, and I put it down in those words. At the end of the book, it was, wow, I'm the one that was healed. And so therefore, brothers and sisters got to read the book one at a time. And it was a different story. For each person, they got something different. But that was okay.
Yeah.
I was telling my story, and my story caused a problem between, me wanting to get the truth out there. I had to be, I was trying to be careful not to offend anybody, but the truth is the truth. But I didn't want to hurt anybody. I just wanted to separate the truth from the lies. And so it did turn out that I just asked God, please sit here with me, because I don't want to write anything like you. Where to end the book. What to say, what not to say. It healed me. It healed me. You know?
But long as I knew deep in my heart, I was telling the truth. And when I had the choice, when I turned in the manuscript and I had two publishing companies that wanted to publish it, the one I chose was Christian Faith Publishing
Yes.
because the consultant said the reason the board decided to take this manuscript and turn it into a book because I was honest, and they could tell that there were some points where I could have really trashed
Yes.
people,
Yes.
and especially the place I worked, because we met where we worked, and I always felt guilty and kind of disconnected with the fact that when he died, I was at work. I couldn't have my phone. Had I had my phone with me, maybe I could have gotten there quicker. So I chose not to bash those certain incidents, and the publishing company, they picked up on that. So that was one of the reasons they fell in love with it.
Well, I had a similar experience with the publishing company that took my book to actually publish it and edit it for me. They got so caught up in what I wasn't saying that they turned one word into a very ugly word, and I said, whoa, no. Maybe that person needed to be described like that, but I will not let you use that word. And they apologized. They got so caught up in the book that they changed a word, and it was not my vocabulary. It's ugly.
Right. Yeah, because I think
So
there's...
yeah, there's stuff that you could elaborate on, maybe, blame somebody.
Blame, There's one part of the book where, because it's trapped in the parking lot at Walmart, where I'm kind of describing, that was one of his favorite places. So I go there to pick up some Thanksgiving things
okay.
for the meal, and I end up being trapped in the parking lot for I don't know how many hours. And I kind of described, in the original manuscript, I said, because he loved electronics, so I said for electronics and Walmart, it was like porn for him, But obviously when Christian Faith Publishing got a hold of that, they took that out, and they said, we understand, but rewrite it a little bit. So,
Well, what was so funny is that this was an inspirational publishing out of New Hampshire, and the person was a Christian, and was like, it's a typo error, maybe? No. Anyway, I said, no, we can't have that. But I will tell you that, okay, Ellen, okay, I am not one to ask, really and truly, normally on a personal basis, I would not have asked you questions referring to your husband that's passed away, but as a show person with empathy and other people out there that's going to get something from this interview, could you share a little bit about how you and your husband worked together, because then that's where you met, basically? I know you kind of keep it out of the conversation, but you and your profession, him and his profession, and yet you ended up getting married.
It's kind of obvious to say that, more times than not, you either meet your mate either by a friend of a friend,
Right.
or you meet them at work. And in the medical field, it's been long known that doctors and nurses, I mean,
Right.
it's not a safe assumption, it's doctors and nurses, So he had worked in the medical field, and actually his mom was in the medical field, his brother's in the medical field. So he took that step, and he actually worked at an inpatient forensic unit, a real,
okay.
truly psych unit.
Okay.
We're an inpatient psych unit, but we strictly do with short-term illnesses, detox, depression, and then getting back on your feet, taking care of the immediate problem. So I was there, he came to work, we had some things in common, anywhere from football to to movies. So, we...
I always love a good love story. How long were you married?
We were married, now I got a brain for it. We married in 2010.
2010.
Yeah, we married in 2010, and he passed away in 2014.
But he was diagnosed how long after you were married? Do you mind me asking?
I mean, he was a diabetic.
Oh, okay.
And as with most men, I think I spoke of this before, because I kind of described him as my Superman. So I think he knew he was sicker than what he really was, but he just didn't want to.
It's true.
He didn't want to release that, and he went to the hospital. He went to the doctor, but most times than not, I had to like, Troy, don't you think it's time to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
You need to go. So like most men, they tend to not want to,
Well, I
deal
look
with that.
forward. I look forward to reading your book, and personally knowing you and learning a little bit more about reading your book. So, but I know that it's going to encourage, like the lady was saying earlier this morning, we all have different griefs. Different things causes different griefs.
And there's not just because even though I speak of the grief of in death,
Right.
there's still grief in loss of separation from a job,
That's right.
friendships. You move from one location to the other, and you have to recover from that.
So you see, that's why this morning I found it very interesting with the other guest. She said almost identically to what you said earlier in our show. There's different people deal with grief different ways. And there's always needs to be a resource out there that can say, hey, I understand, I've been there, I am there, we're going to get through this, So I really believe that your book is a book that will encourage anyone who reads it or shares it. And so now that's book number 1. And you're doing a great job at getting out there. And would you like to go speak at different places if you're invited?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'd have no problem with that.
No, I have no problem with that. Christian Faith Publishing, they're in the middle of, being it was the holidays, so the press release of
Yes.
the book should be in the making. I would definitely say at the end of January. The press release will be starting to be put out there in newspapers, radios, all the major.
And you have a
talk
trailer.
shows,
You have a trailer on
Yeah,
the book also.
there's a book trailer. Even whether you go to ChristianFaithPublishing.com, type in my name, Ellen Threttis, then you'll find the book and you'll find the trailer. Or you can go to my webpage, a place where words still matter.
Will still matter.
Right.
And they can see what it's
And
all
they
about.
not only they could, because they probably can see the interview you and I did sometime last
Yeah,
year.
right.
I did a podcast with Darwin Dave. He's one of the leading podcasters on grief.
Okay.
And of course, Facebook. When you look up my name, Ellen Threttis, you can see the YouTube trailer for.
Yeah, I
Four
was trying to
Seasons
get
of
it. I was
Love,
trying to
yeah.
look at that this morning before I took off because I had seen it a while back. No, it wasn't ready when I looked at it.
Right.
Now it's
yeah.
ready.
Now it's ready.
Now it's ready. So, Ellen, do you think that there'll be any books in the future coming up?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. It's just a matter of.
Right now?
Yeah, because I think my knack is nonfiction, but I have to test my waters as to something fiction. So the next one will be somewhere in between maybe.
Yeah. Well, a few minutes ago, he showed me we had 5 minutes left, so we're probably into like 3 minutes now. But I do want, I'm strictly nonfiction.
Okay.
I have created a fiction, but it's not my thing. I love telling good stories,
Good stories,
true
yeah,
stories.
real stories, yeah.
I love sharing, and so naturally, when I was growing up, I had stacks of books. They're all, it was either true stories or it was, what is it, the Three Little Women, whatever, stories like that. But being an author and being a publicist, and you have the natural knack at being a publicist, then you have done a whole lot considering you just got this book released. You've done a whole lot, and you're not burnt out yet, and that's good.
No, and the experience. Obviously, I would have loved to do the non-traditional publishing route, but I think the self-publishing route kind of.
Well, let's talk a little bit about why you chose that. Hey, people out there that are watching this that have stories to tell and they're thinking it's so complicated, but if you've got access to a computer and you have any little knowledge, you just go through the steps, right?
It's just a matter of Googling. It's a matter of asking for help, not being prideful,
Right.
asking for help. Because believe you me, there's like tons of information and there's tons of people that have information that could lead you to the right direction.
So-
It's trial and error.
About how many pages is your book?
136 pages.
136 pages?
136,
Okay, well, we're now at the end of the show, and I want to thank Facebook for everybody that's tuned in, and also for Acadiana Open Channel for this opportunity to be able to bring in people like Ellen to share their stories. And she is a widow. She's written a book, and it's called The 4 Seasons of Love and Grief. And so if you have any information or questions you would like, then you can email her or check out her website for more information. That website, it would be basically up there on the screen a while ago, or Ellen, ELLEN dot Mitchell, 7, the number 7, at iCloud.com. And send her some questions, and she'll be glad to answer them for you. And so therefore, we want to thank you for tuning in. And if you have a story you would like to share, then try to get into contact with us. Thank you so much. And Ellen, thank you so much
Thanks for
for being
having
so
me again,
patient to be
Susan.
able to come back on this.
Absolutely.
And lots of luck and joy
Thank
in
you
your
very
book.
much.
And don't leave here without me getting mine.
No.
Until then, we see you again. Bye-bye.